Alright, and welcome to Module 9 of the GSU TV Practicum Post-Production Certification. In this module, we're going to talk about exporting video and transcoding. We're going to talk about selecting the output location and the name, your basic presets, sending a render to media encoder, what videos need to be transcoded, how to tell what preset to pick when you're transcoding, and how to start the encoding process. Alright, well, let's get into it. So first off, you're going to get to a point where you're ready to share it with the producer or supervising producer or somebody else. You're going to need to export it. To export it, you have several options. You can go up here to File, you can do Export, and you can do Media, or you can look at the hotkey, which is Command M. So in this case, we're going to make sure that the timeline is highlighted. We're going to hit Command M, and that's going to pull up this dialog box. What this is all of your export settings. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the output location and the name. So this is really important. Right next to output name, there's a default name. You'll notice that the text is blue. So if I click that, it pulls up another box. It will probably look like this the first time you pull it up. So in order to get full options here, you're going to want to click this little arrow, and that gives you all the options. Now we can really kind of see where we want to put that. So you're going to want to find the location of your project, and then this is where the renders folder comes in. So right now I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it renders. And within renders, I'm going to put tests. So that is where we want to save this, right? Our renders and then test folder. And then up here, we're going to change the name. We're going to save it as Java Cats Rough Cut 01. Never ever call anything final. It's the kiss of death. You will inevitably be doing something else to that every time you call it final. So just stick to numbers. So we're going to rename the file, and so we're going to put that 01 there. We know exactly where this guy's going to save, and we're going to hit save. That's going to take us back to our dialog box. We're selecting our options. Now up here at the top, we have our presets. When you're sharing a video with somebody else, you want to make sure that it's smaller so that you can send it through Dropbox or maybe even email, OneDrive, that kind of thing. So you want to select this option called H.264. It's a very common codec, often used in YouTube. It's cross-platform, meaning that you can use it on Mac or PC. So you change the last part of the file to MP4. So MP4s will play on really any platform. And then the next thing is we have our preset here. So preset, there's a lot of options here. Typically, I would say if you're just wanting to get out of this easy, you can come down here and pick YouTube 720p. That'll automatically set up with the settings, right? So it sets the width to 1280 by 720. That's 720p. Your maximum render quality you want to check, and maximum render depth. And then down here you have your bitrate encoding. Now you have VBR 1 pass, that's variable bitrate 1 pass. You have variable bitrate 2 pass, and you have CBR, which is a constant bitrate. Typically, I have seen the best results with a smaller file with VBR 2 pass. Typically, I would set this guy down to 10. Results in a smaller file. You could just hit YouTube 720p and be done with it if you wanted to. Now, let's say you're in a journalism 3900 course. If you're turning in something for a project, you'd want to make sure that you're turning stuff in at 1080p. That's going to show the best resolution. So when you guys are watching it either on a projector or on a TV, it's hard for a professor to judge focus if everything's kind of soft, if it's blown up from 720 to 1080. If you're looking at it on a computer, 720 is just fine. If you're just trying to show a friend or a colleague so that they can make judgments, 720 is fine. All right, so we're going to go back to YouTube 720p HD. All right. Come down here, do maximum render depth, make sure that maximum render quality is checked, and we're doing VBR 2 pass, 10 megabit. If we wanted a really small file, we wouldn't do 10 megabits. We would do 2. I'd save that please. And hit OK. Now that we've saved our own preset, it's going to show up here at the top of the preset. So if I ever wanted to select it again, I just do H.264, select preset, and then it's right up here at the top for me to select. And then I've already got my web video, which is 1080, which is exactly what I would use if I was turning in something to a 3900 class. So web video is 1920 by 1080. Oh, need maximum render depth checked. And if we scroll down here, it's variable bitrate 2pass, 10 megabit per second. And that's it. So if we wanted to send this over to the media encoder, we'd hit Q. If we wanted to render it right inside of Premiere, we'd hit export. And this is good because let's say we wanted to keep working. Let's say we didn't want to stop working. Instead of hitting export and waiting, we would just hit Q. What Q does is that opens up media encoder down here. Okay, and so when media encoder loads it up into the queue. And then from here, we could change the settings again if we wanted to, but from here we could just hit play and it would actually start the render queue. Then we could go back to Premiere and do some more work. So that is media encoder. Again, we hit Q to get here. We can also come down here and just click on media encoder. If it's not down there in the bar, it's going to be in the applications folder. Media encoder. And that is how you render out a video. Moving on to transcoding. In the very beginning of your project, if you're working as an assistant editor for GSU TV, you need to identify what needs to be transcoded. And as of right now, we have discovered that all Panasonic GH5 footage needs to be transcoded. If we don't transcode the footage, it will cause us to make poor edit decisions later on because we can't really see the footage in real time. So this is a remote desktop, so it may be a little slow. But the first thing you're going to want to do is when you encounter these files, you want to determine what they were shot at, because if they're shot at 4K, we don't necessarily want to shrink them down to 1080. So on all of these computers, you should have an app called Any File Info. And what you do is you just take one of these files and you drag it down here to the bottom, hover over the icon of Any File Info and drop it. That's going to open up Any File Info and it's going to load up that video file. From here we're going to go over to Media Info. We're going to open up video and then we're going to look at height. Whatever that height is the preset you're going to pick. I've already got these set up. So for height, it says 1080. If it was 4K, it would say 2160. If it was 2K, it would say 1530. So we should already have these presets set up for you. So the next thing you're going to do is going to take one of these files and you're going to drop it over into the media encoder window. And when you do that, you're going to first select, under format, you're going to select QuickTime. And then next, up at the top, you should already have some transcode presets set up for you. So right here I have GSU TV ProRes HQ transcode 1080p. If it was 4K, I would pick the one that said 2160. If it was 4K, I would pick the one that said 2160. Once you pick the right preset, you can then go back to your folder, highlight everything, drag it over into the media encoder queue. Then once you let go, it's going to add all those files there. And if you notice, it's going to make them with an _1 at the end and a .mov that is lowercase. So once you have those loaded up, you can hit play and it's going to go through and transcode all of those. It's going to take a while. It's okay. Now I'm not going to let this thing completely go through, but if I did, you'd have a checkerboard of the raw files with our new transcoded files. We could tell that the new ones were the new ones because they'd have an _1 and the MOV at the end would be all lowercase. So this is great. We've got everything transcoded, but now we need to separate out our old footage from our transcoded footage. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder We're gonna call it underscore raw. And then what we would do is we'd go and select all of our old raw footage. And I would go one by one because I want to make sure I don't get the other stuff. But in this case, I didn't do all the other ones. So, and take all of the raw files and put them into raw. Don't delete anything. Let us do that. And also, I think it's important to say we never want to rename files. If we go and we start renaming files, we're going to start thinking that we forgot to shoot something, or we lost something, or that you might have deleted something. So never ever rename the files. The only time we tag footage is in the description field of Premiere. So in this module, we talked about exporting a video and transcoding. We talked about how to select the output location and name, the basic presets, sending a render to the media encoder, what video needs to be transcoded, how to tell what presets to pick, and how to start the encoding process. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next module.